Okay, so my project-based learning that we are going to do at Russell High School next year is to do with the ACT. My name is Gabriel Willis, and I'm doing this for EDS 711. First of all, let me start off by giving you a little bit of background about myself. Last year, I was an instructional coach at Russell High School. We had some funding cut, so they cut all of the one of the elementary schools. One of them is funded by a grant. They cut Russell Elementary School's instructional coach. They also cut the middle school's instructional coach, and they also cut me at the high school. This year, I will be back in the classroom. I will be teaching science, and I also will teach ACT prep. Now, last year I done some prep classes for them, and I'm also an ACT tutor. So the ACT, for me, it means a lot because students can get students who not necessarily are well off and can't afford to go to places like the University of Alabama or even UNA. Sometimes I've had kids that just needed money to go to UNA or to or places like Auburn. These kids have these dreams, and sometimes they're squashed out because they're not able to make high enough on the ACT. And to me, I don't, it's not like teaching to the test. It's kind of like almost like a chess game. Like, I want to get these kids as much money as possible so that they can go on to do what they want to do. I myself, had I originally been able to, or I probably could have went to Auburn, but at the time I was just a little scared too. I would have probably majored into something other than education, but what I wanted to major in was fisheries biology, and it wasn't offered anywhere around here. So I went in the straight biology, and then I got my teacher certification. So the ACT means a lot to me because I know it will allow students who are disadvantaged to be able to get that money to go to college on that they need. So here's the thing. At Russellville, over the past several years, we have had a steady decline of our ACT scores on average for our senior class. We want to stop this decline. We need to find some way to stop it. So far, a lot of the methods that have been implemented have not been so successful. Some of them, perhaps this year, we'll see a change because our AP scores were phenomenal this year. We're actually getting to host the AP celebration because we had 60 AP scores, which AP passing scores, which was a 122% increase from the year before. The thing about it is we've been having this problem with this ACT, and we're hoping that as a result of the AP and stuff and some of the ACT tutoring classes we offered last year, that this ACT would turn around and we would start not only just stall and stop falling, but actually see an increase. So here's what I'm proposing for us to do. There's a company called Mastery Prep, and I didn't put their stuff on here because I had to cut and pasted it, and it had been small, and it wasn't very legible, their little scores. And the only score report that I have is one of a student that I know, so I hated to post it on there also. But Mastery Prep offers a $10 test that we can give to a student, and they will take it and analyze it. Now, I put up here, know what the students don't know for the ACT. It is extremely important. And for those of y'all who may be listening who have a child in high school and you're wanting them to make higher on ACT, or even for your students in high school, a lot of people don't know that you can actually buy an ACT test after you take it. You have to get on there and see which ones they will let you buy, but there's about 3 a year, on 3 different test days a year, they let you buy your test. And they will ship it to you, and you can see the actual test that you took. Not only that, but they will ship you the correct answers, and they will ship you what you answered. Now, I tell people, I said, this is the most important, when I'm tutoring students, I say, this is the most important thing. To know what you don't know. And that's what we want teachers to do. We want teachers to know what the students don't know. So if we test every 11th grader, and we're supposed to be doing that this year, and this is basically the project that we're doing here. We're going to test every 11th grader. And we can, as long as those 11th graders try on it, we can get accurate data that shows us what that student does not know how to do. Now, every once in a while they may guess correctly and may throw us off a little bit, like they may not know how to do something that we think they do. But if they miss it, we know that they don't know how to do it, unless they ran out of time or something, and that would be a testing strategy. The thing about this particular score report here is that it'll also give us some of that information. I'll talk about it in a minute. When teaching, one of the most important things is to analyze a student's knowledge. So we all talk about formative assessment. Everybody knows about formative assessment. But with the ACT, it's really hard because a lot of us, it's been since high school. Now, as an ACT tutor, I've actually took it as recently as just a little over a month ago. I take it on and off from time to time, just so I make sure I know what my students are experiencing. But the thing about it is a lot of us have not taken it in years. And the teachers get in there and they try to teach, and the kids need this test. They need this score to be able to go to college. Like, they can have all the information they needed to go to college, but if they can't get in there because they can't afford it, to major in whatever they want to major in, then, it's kind of like, it's kind of worthless. Not saying that knowledge is worthless, but just saying that it's kind of a little bit of a waste, because the student needs this ACT score. So we need to cater to that. We need to make sure kids get what they need. So we want to know what students don't know on that ACT test. So this is what this mastery prep program will do. It'll actually analyze it, and it'll say they don't understand series, commas and series, or they don't understand subject-verb agreement. It'll actually tell us that. Now, here's the thing. That is basically just like a pretest, basically. And I'll talk about that in just a second. With ACT, students are caught off guard as well as teachers. So just by giving them an extra test, they're not going to be caught off guard as much. But the thing about it is a lot of times teachers, like I just said, that they hadn't taken it in so long they don't know what's on it. The student don't know what's on it because they actually have ACT standards that, I've looked at them before because I'm an ACT tutor. But the thing about it is a lot of your teachers have never looked at the ACT standards, and they're different than college and career ready standards. So this ACT drops out of the sky on these students, and they're like, what? What is this? I hadn't had to do this. Now, given that a lot of the ACT standards do overlap with college and career ready, but there are some that don't. Imagine teaching before, just imagine, this is what we do. We will teach the students up. A lot of us will teach the students up. And I used to do this in the past before I became a tutor. I'd be like, okay, they know everything they need to know about science. And they get in there, and it is something completely different. I didn't know where the kids were deficient. I didn't know that the science was not, as much knowledge as it is just basically data analysis. Just imagine teaching teaching any test in your classroom like that. Like, you just pull out, okay, I'm going to teach something and hand you out a test, just a random test. I mean, that's basically what it's like. All right, so we're going to be using a pretest. This is the test I was just talking about from Mastery Prep. We're going to give it to all 11th graders. All 11th graders will take a pre-ACT test. Their scores will be returned along with the right and their wrong answers. There will also be some testing strategies identified that students need to work on. And this probably should have went on the slide before this. This is going to be testing strategies like timing. You can tell if a student gets close to the end of the test, if they're guessing. And that's one of the things that this program is going to point out to us. So that during this project, we are able to identify those areas as well, not just deficiencies in content. but deficiencies in actual test-taking strategies. All right, so this particular this pre-test works just like any other pre-test. We will get it. It'll have it broke down exactly what the students need. All right, so the goal is, and we'll host PDs, and I had actually talked about this on some of the PDs that I hosted last year about forming instruction or formative assessment. So I like to say forming instruction because it makes a lot of sense when we're talking about, we're going to take those student scores and their answers. Every teacher will get it. So the science teachers will be focusing on the science area. And they will look at it and they'll say, okay, here is what my students can't do. Not only what my students can't do, but what this exact student is incapable of doing or did not show mastery on the ACT, pre-ACT test. This way teachers will know exactly what the student needs to work on soon. And they can cater their instructions to that. And you don't have to waste any time. You don't have to teach them how to do something that they already know how to do. It's not like throwing a net out there and catching just whatever. It's like a bow and arrow. The arrow is hitting the bullseye. You say, I know you don't know how to do this. Boom. Here's how you do it. Then, hopefully when it shows up on the ACT, they know how to do it. This will allow for a more aimed approach at instruction. And that's what I was just referring to. All right, so the summary, I've already about gone my 12 minutes. I knew I shouldn't make this too many slides. This particular project is going to bring a focus to the material students need to do well on the ACT, to the exact standard or the exact concept or idea that the student needs in order to perform successfully on the ACT. So that all of this other stuff that we taught them in college and career ready, to get them college ready, so that they can actually go to college. So that they have the money to actually enroll in college. That's why this is important. That's why I chose this project to do. Also, not just teachers. I probably shouldn't have. Learning the effectiveness of formative assessment. It will benefit them with all their learning standards. So when you're looking in a classroom, I constantly, and I know most of y'all do as well, constantly say, raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm saying. Look at me. I want to see your eyes. I got to see if the student looks confused. I can, sometimes they raise their hand, and everybody in the room could raise their hand, and I turn around and teach the exact same thing over again because I can tell by looking at their eyes. Show me your hands, and I'll look at them, and they'll have to look at me, and tell me with their eyes that they understand what's going on. If students learn this, I tell these kids I tutor all the time, when you get this test back, when you purchase an ACT test and you get it back, you go over every single problem that you guessed on. Even if you got it right, if you remember, if it's the last 20 and you guessed on it, you go over it because guessing don't mean you know it. I try to teach them to be self-directed. This is formative assessment for the student themselves. I say, you don't know how to do this now. When you've missed it on the test, this is why you missed it. Figure it out. Learn it. Understand it. Focus your time and energy on what you don't know. Don't just sit there and do 50 problems and say, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at it. I got 48 this time. I got 49 this time. Go back and say, this is why I missed this one. This is what teachers need to be doing constantly. Why did this student miss this one? This student missed this one. I need to form my instruction so that I can teach that student how to approach that particular problem or that particular standard concept idea so that when they see it in the future on this ACT in the spring, they will be able to answer the question correctly. And that's what this project is focusing on. It's focusing on formative assessment on the ACT, so that we can give students the test scores that they need in order to be successful in college and be successful in their career. And not only that, but just hopefully to turn this decline in ACT scores that we've seen at Russellville High School, so that that decline becomes an incline, and we steadily approach, even the state average. We're slightly below the state average now. We want to get up to the state average and exceed it. So thank you for your time. My sources are on here for formative assessment. Some of the PD that I would do or an administrator would do. That information comes from here. Thank you very much.